Hi, my name's Katrina Mohammed and I'm glad to be with you today. We're here to talk about the Master of Indigenous Business Leadership, and with me I have Professor Jacinta Elston. She's the Pro-Vice Chancellor Indigenous and she's also the head of the William Cooper Institute. Thank you, Jacinta.
Thanks, Katrina.
So, Jacinta, can you please tell us what is unique about this particular business leadership course?
So this leadership program has been established at Monash University in a really unique partnership between the Monash Business School and the William Cooper Institute as a program that will really help to shape business leaders who are working in the Indigenous space in the future. It's unique because it'll be both face-to-face delivery in an intensive mode. So by doing this, it means that we can draw on Indigenous community people, Indigenous people working in government and in business organisations around the country who just want to take their career to the next stage. It allows people to come into the program, to not have to leave their jobs, to not have to leave their home, family and communities, but to be able to come into the program to be able to be participants in a cohort of just Indigenous only students, and to think about, not just where they're going, but where their communities are going and what we might envisage for Indigenous business in Australia in the coming decades.
And does that include only Victorian Indigenous business leaders? How far and wide-reaching is this course?
Because it's intensive mode, people can come from all over the country for this program. And in fact, I'd hope that when we launch the program, we've got people from some of the most regional and remote communities.
So how will our Indigenous leaders and their families, communities benefit from being in this course?
Katrina, there's been, I think, a history for us in Indigenous communities around the country that we've had a lot of struggle trying to run our own community organisations, in the context that there's a lot of pressure from government about what good quality leadership is. And of course, we come at it from a very much a community-centred way for who we are and what we do. But what I've noticed over my 20 or 30 years of being involved in particularly the Aboriginal sort of community-controlled health service movement, is that most of our business leaders, most of our community-controlled leaders have had very limited opportunities to engage in formal education and business sort of training. What I'd hope is that for the community, what we get is from this program, Stronger Leadership. I'd hope that, over the next decade, we contribute an extra 200 or 300 Indigenous people out there across Australia with business level qualifications at a postgraduate level that helps just really embed some stronger capability into our communities, for our communities. It's not just about the community sector though, there's also the sector of people, the people who work in the sectors that are engaged in Indigenous business. We know that across Australia, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander services and program delivery is big business for a lot of non-Indigenous organisations. And this will help, I think, to be able to shape that sort of leadership of tomorrow. And help people sort of elevate themselves in their careers. We've got a lot of Indigenous people who are sitting in organisations and in government, not able to get further up the chain, and I'd hope that this helps them get further up the chain.
I'd like for us to get into some of the nitty-gritty, which is talking about the course design, the delivery, how we're going to engage our leaders. Can you give us a snapshot of the journey so far?
Katrina, I think what's been important about this is saying, okay, well, what do we think that Indigenous business leaders might need? And so, we've come to looking at the traditional MBA type program and what would be perceived as being core to an MBA. And we've pulled those elements out to come into this program as core units. We've worked on the notion that actually needs to be a program that will serve a whole lot of sectors. And so we've added into the program the ability to be able to pick up some elective units from other areas and disciplines. And so, for example, one of those is law. There's a second elective unit, which is about Indigenous people societies, and that's coming out of the Faculty of Arts. And we'll create a third elective unit, which comes back from the business school and helps elevate the sort of business capabilities of the cohort for those people who really want to kind of focus in on their business acumen through the program.
Fantastic. And just to cap off, on a personal note, what has been, I guess, the most exciting part of the journey for you creating and being a part of this creation of this master's program? And tell us a little bit about how the team are coming together.
The thing that I'm really excited about is I'd love to be in this cohort. I'd love to be in any one of these cohorts. You know what it's like when you get a good bunch of Indigenous mob together, and business leaders, Indigenous government leaders, Indigenous community leaders. I can't tell you, they've been some of the best times of my career as those occasions, and it'll seed relationships that'll last them across the rest of their career. And I'm really excited about that. I'd love to be in every one of the cohorts with everybody, because I think that they'll all be amazing.
Yeah, I absolutely 100% agree. Look, thank you very much for your time today. We can't wait for this program to be launched.